Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Penguin Nonsense. I am your host, Edith, and welcome back to another episode. It is Monday again, and I hope that y'all have started on the right side of the bed this morning. I know Mondays are always dreadful. I know that everyone's always like, ugh, Mondays. Well, I'm sure there's a few people who have to like Mondays, right? But if you are the type like me who just doesn't do Mondays, I hope that it started off well. I hope that you got plenty of rest. I know it's Super Bowl weekend. Was yesterday, I guess technically by the time this episode comes out. So, I know my husband's watching the game. But I hope the Eagles or the Chiefs win, right? Because one of them has to win. So I hope the one that you're going for wins or won, because I guess by the time this airs out, it would have already been closed. So yeah, I hope that you're having a good day if you're listening to us later in the day. Maybe it's nighttime, maybe your Monday already finished. Maybe you're listening to this halfway through the week and your week has gone through fast and good. I really hope it has. So wherever you're listening to us, let it be in the car, let it be in your gym, let it be at your house, but you're just trying not to do anything for the day. I am honored to be on with you today. So thank you for having me. And without making this any longer like I typically do, let's get on to our first story of today. So, our first story comes from a very, very, very old story. And the reason why it only resurfaced here recently is because the family of this person has been trying to get something passed. And to open up the story, I know a lot of us have tried helium before. At least it's something we grew up with, or something that we just inhaled the helium and was like, we sound like chipmunks, right? So I know that a lot of us have tried it. I mean, once in your lifetime, you have at least tried probably inhaling the helium out of a balloon to sound like the little chipmunks. So this story came from that, and it goes, a warning issued after a mom died from inhaling the helium at her daughter's birthday party. So the story went, there are calls for warnings on helium canisters to be improved after a young mom died instantly after inhaling this helium. New Zealand woman Faith Waterman Batashtik, I want to say is her last name, died after she breathed in the colorless, odorless element directly from the canister in September 2022. So as you can tell, this case happened in 2022. We're now in 2025. So this has been a while back, but recently this case resurfaced because they're trying to get something passed for these labels in the helium canisters to be added. And it says, when inhaled, helium displaces oxygen in the lungs and causes low blood oxygen, known as hypoxia, which can cause damage and ultimately death. An inquest into the 20-year-old's death has now found Mrs. Batashtik was unaware of the inherent dangers of inhaling helium and called for warning labels on canisters to be made clearer. Her twin sister Eden, Eden, I'm sorry, I don't know where I read that, Eden, described the moment to young mom, that the young mom who was celebrating her daughter's second birthday on the day she died. Can you imagine that, like being 2 years old and your mom dying the day you turn 2? Well, at least the day she's having this party. I can't imagine being that young and having to go through that. It says, at the party, they had been inhaling helium from the balloons to make their voices high when someone suggested doing it directly from the helium canister. Eden claimed it took some convincing before Faith stepped up, allegedly, that just as she inhaled, another person turned up the flow of the canister. It went too fast and kind of shot her in the back of the neck, Eden said. Her last words were literally, "Oh," and she dropped dead. It goes on to say, the family gave CPR, and that other people who lived in the small town located 11 miles. Hold up. It says the family gave CPR, and they lived about 45 minutes from the nearest hospital. So once the ambulance got there, they tried to do everything they could to see if they could get her back, but emergency services could do nothing for her. So they go on to say that they wanted to check, like, if potentially maybe the person who did end up turning the thing to go like faster, the helium, maybe did it intentionally. And I don't think this has any murder, I guess, to it. I think it was literally, they were probably just having a good time, and they just thought it would be funny because, when we're young, she was only 20, we're young and dumb, and they were like, like, let's add some more power to that, and somebody just made it go a little bit faster, not thinking that this could happen. There is no warnings on the canisters that say that this could happen. So this is what they were trying to fight for. I do think that it's something we all do. So I honestly haven't checked the canister recently to see if these warnings have been added to it. But definitely it wasn't the fact that she inhaled it from a balloon. It was the fact that she inhaled it from the canister directly. So it could be that the warning label does say, don't inhale from like other things or whatnot, but it doesn't say anything directly about the canister. So the fact that this happened to her, I guess technically it could be suable, but I'm not sure. But it just goes to show that simple things like this can, end us at any moment, at any time. And it's better to be careful than, just to go on about our days and maybe give it a try. So if you are used to, or like doing all this little fun things with the helium, think about it the next time we do them. And don't ever throw it directly from the canister. And if you have, thank God you're still here. It's sad for the person, for this lady. Her name was Faith, and I hate that for her, because at being 20, having her young little girl, little baby, and now that person gets to grow up without, or that baby gets to grow up without a parent, all for something that seems so innocent and fun. You never know when you're going to go, but this definitely wasn't one of the ways I'm sure they expected to go. So I just wanted to share this story with y'all, because I know, like I've told y'all from the beginning of this episode, it's something we probably all have done. So I think it's something that we just need to keep a lookout for and make sure that we're not doing crazy things with helium. And just thought it was an interesting story, because you don't hear that very often, and I thought I'd share with y'all. So keep it in mind the next time you're trying to be a chipmunk with your helium balloon. Don't do it out of the canister, at least. And I'm sure it's not good if we're inhaling it from the balloons either, but or at least the fast rate that you let it release into your lungs. So keep that in mind at what rates you're just inhaling these things at, because it can be fatal. All right, so on we go to our next story of today. And this is from Am I the A-hole subreddit, and it's from user Persimmon Pale 466. And the title goes, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law to get over herself and stop trying to one-up us? It's never a good thing when somebody is trying to one-up you. So I can only imagine that, no, they're not the a-hole for it. But let's hear the story. It goes, throwaway account. My 29 male wife, 27 female, and her sister, 30 female, got pregnant around the same time. The babies were the first of a new generation on their side of the family, so everyone was excited. Sister-in-law was further along, but my wife ended up giving birth on week 32, plus she had some complications that had her hospitalized. My nephew was born 2 weeks later at a full term. Apparently, sister-in-law was resenting, quote, having her thunder stolen, unquote, and felt like she and her new baby weren't getting enough attention. She keeps making these comments like she's trying to one-up us. First, she was saying how sorry she was that my wife missed the quote an hour because they had taken our son to the NICU. This upset my wife since during her hospitalization she was often too sick to visit the NICU, and she's already feeling crappy about missing skin to skin on those first few weeks. After, she started to bring our son to family gatherings. Sister-in-law started comparing the boys, saying how much bigger and how much more alert her son looks like compared to ours, and how he has hit more milestones. Last weekend, we had lunch at my in-laws. My wife and I were excited to tell everyone that our son had laughed for the first time earlier that day. He's 5.5, excuse the dogs. You hear them playing in the background. But he goes, he's 5.5 months old. And it goes on to say that they corrected that to 3.5. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But it goes, mother-in-law and father-in-law were having a good time watching the video when sister-in-law made another comment about her son. Did that a month ago. I don't know why that was the last straw, but I just had it, and I snapped. I told sister-in-law that she's pathetic for trying to one-up us for a freaking baby, and that her full-term son wasn't special for being more developed than a preemie, that she should get the F over not giving birth to the first grandbaby. Needless to say, this ruined lunch, and my wife's family is pissed. I admit I was harsh on my words and the tone, and this was the first time I confronted her like this. Up until now, we each handle our own relatives, but these comments were just making my wife upset, and it pissed me off. So, am I the a-hole for being so harsh and not staying in my lane? There's a few things to unwrap here. So, are you the a-hole? I don't think so. And here's just my take on this. Like, I've told y'all plenty of times, I don't have kids. It's not in my plans, but if it happens, it happens. But just having to one-up somebody, like, or the comments that the sister-in-law is making, it's just ridiculous. Because who cares if your baby laughed first? Who cares if your baby learned to walk first? Who cares if your baby said dad or mom first? Nobody does, okay? There's plenty of babies being born earlier. There's plenty of babies who are smarter than yours. And at the end of the day, parenting is hard. if you manage to, you know, teach a child to grow up and become a decent human being, you've won. That's it. That's all you need. You've won. Whether they took 5 years to talk or they took 6 months. I don't know when babies start talking, Like, it doesn't matter. As long as you raised a decent human being, you've won, So the fact that this person is, going out of their way to be like, well, my kid already did that like 2 or 3 months ago. Nobody cares. Let these parents enjoy the moment that they've had with their kid. At the end of the day, they're the parents of this kid and they're proud of their kid for having done this new thing for them, And I think it's kind of pathetic. I agree with his words. It's pretty pathetic that she's trying to be like, in a way, it kind of feels like, and I'm not saying that she's doing it for this, but in a way, it feels like she's saying, well, your kid isn't that good, like, these are things that hopefully every kid gets to do. I know that not every kid gets to talk or hear or listen, that kind of stuff, but hopefully, these are things that they're all going to eventually do, maybe, and the fact that she's just making it a big deal and making sure that their parents know that their kid did it first is just mind-blowing to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know why you would try to have that kind of attention. I don't know why you would try to start that kind of drama. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Not at all whatsoever. But my second thing to wrap here is the fact he stood up for his wife. Because he said that he doesn't typically get involved in their drama because that's not his family. And he understands that. And the fact that he stood up for her, I think it's a big thing. Because half the time your spouses, they either stand up for you or they don't. And if you don't have a spouse who doesn't stand up for you, then why are you even married? So I don't think it was bad of him to stand up for her. I'm sure as a mother who just had a kid not too long ago, and maybe it looks like this is their first time, considering that they were saying that this is their first new generation of their family, then I'm guessing this is the first time she's being a mom. So having to learn all of these new things, like to take care of a child, because taking care of a child is not easy. Having to learn all of this new stuff, the things that work for her, postpartum, all of this crap that women have to deal with, it's a lot. It's a lot for one person to do. And to, on top of that, have to deal with your jealous sister, because it's his sister-in-law, but it's technically her sister. Why is your sister trying to one-up you? If anything, you should be enjoying this whole thing together. These kids should be growing up together. They should be like the best of cousins and best friends. And if anything, you should be helping each other. In my opinion, you should be there for each other and like how you're feeling, how you're getting through life, like things that you've learned through it together. And I think that's something missed, something that they could have done, and they couldn't do it all because the sister is jealous over, this kid. And it's ridiculous to me. It doesn't make sense. So I am totally okay that he got out of his lane, as he puts it, and told his family, well, the sister-in-law off, because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So let's go on to what the first comment said. It's well, they asked how did they respond? How did the wife respond? And the person said, OP writes, happy that I spoke up because she was having a hard time telling her sister it makes her feel like crap, but feels bad that they're mad. And then the other person goes back and says, then you're good. You stood up for your wife and child, and she appreciated it. It would be helpful if she outwardly had your back to them as well. And somebody else goes, it might help if you both strategize together on how to address her sister's comments in a way that feels united. It's tough, but standing strong as a team can make a big difference. So pretty much just having each other's back. At the end of the day, I think that's the big thing in marriage, is if having each other's back. If one person is going to go through one thing, the other person should have that other person's back. And I stand by it. I thankfully have a great husband who has always had my back. And I think the same way needs to be in this situation. So I hope the wife doesn't go back and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, about my husband. Because there should be nothing to apologize for. She feels the same exact way. And I hope that maybe they do find a better way to, like, sit down and talk about it. Like, okay, why are you jealous? What is bringing up this jealousy? What is bringing up these comments? What is making you feel this way? And can we work it out? Because I think it would be beautiful if these kids grow up together. And if you keep trying to pin them up next to each other, like, my kid did this, my kid did that, eventually they're going to grow up in that same scenario, in that same case, and they're always going to try to one-up each other. And that can't be good for cousins, in my opinion. But what do I know, right? No kids. So I'd be interested to see if other parents agree the same way. So, guys, leave it in the comments or whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Did he do the right thing? Did he not do the right thing? Should he have stayed in his lane, as she puts it? Or he puts it. So let me know what you guys think. All right? And on we go to our last story of today. Yay! So, this last story I thought was adorable. Then again, most of the stories I read at the end I think are adorable. Mostly because they're feel-good stories. And this one is not about dogs. So that's new, right? This one was about beavers. And the story goes, these eager beavers saved Czech government $1.2 million. And just how did the beavers save this government $1.2 million? Let's read on. Officials in the Brdy region of Czech Republic were at an impasse. Despite securing more than $1 million worth of funding for a new dam to address water issues, the project had stalled after 7 years of planning because of the necessary building permits for such a structure couldn't be acquired. But then everyone woke up one morning in January to find that the job had been completed by 8 beavers for free. And the article essentially goes on, because it's from National Geographic, essentially goes on to talk about how these beavers, how they make these dams and that kind of stuff. And the scientists who eventually came up to talk for the beavers, I guess, was saying that they don't think that the beavers made it in one night. But that maybe the people think they made it in one night because by the time they got to, like, the top part of it, it was, like, that next day before, and that wasn't there the night before. So even though the people think that it was done in one day, the scientists who came up to speak up for them was like, it probably took a little bit longer, but we just recently noticed it. So I thought it was pretty cool because, like, $1.2 million, that's a lot of money. And I know nothing about the Czech Republic or how their government is or whatnot, but to save that much money, I'm sure they could go through other projects. But it does kind of seem weird to me that they spent 7 years trying to get these permits to build this dam, But then again, what do I know about permits? So, I think it was kind of cute that these little beavers were like, well, it doesn't look like the humans are going to do it. So, excuse me. They were like, so I guess we should go ahead and make the stand before things get any worse. Because, I mean, these animals know things, I guess, that we don't sense or we don't feel. They usually know when natural disasters are about to happen or that kind of stuff. And these are one of the few animals who do work or make things happen to protect themselves for certain things that might happen. So the fact that they knew that this dam was absolutely necessary is pretty phenomenal, because they were actually already going to try to build a dam, even though they couldn't get the permit. Let's see, I think that's weird. But the fact that these beavers took it upon themselves to be like, we got y'all, we're going to build this dam, and they did it. So, cute little 8 beavers did a whole, project that was probably going to take hundreds of people to make. So, maybe not hundreds, but you know what I mean. It was going to take more than 8 beavers. So, I thought that was the sweetest thing. You don't typically get to hear a lot about just nature kind of helping us out. I mean, nature helps us out all the time. But in this case, like literally saving us millions. Us probably not in this country, but in Czech, in the Czech Republic. So I thought that was neat. Because like I said, how often do you get to hear that, you save that much money? Not often. So that's what I leave y'all with today. If y'all need something to get done, maybe see if we can get some animal free work, free labor. No, but yeah, that's all I have for y'all today. I hope y'all enjoyed that last story. I hope it's a cute little story y'all can tell somebody. Because I definitely thought it was the cutest thing ever for these beavers to help us out the way they did, as humans. And that sister-in-law's story really got to me. I don't know why you're trying to one up a baby. And the helium, though. So, we do a lot of parties as Hispanic people. And just, I guess, anyone. But, so try to stay away from the helium, or at least sucking in it. And try not to go too fast and not hurt your lungs, that kind of stuff. Because we saw that, you can die. Definitely don't take it from the canister. So, just be careful. Stay safe as you go on through your week or whatnot. Or maybe it's already the end of the week. I hope you had a great week. So that is it. You know me, I just ramble on. But y'all have a good one, and thank you for having me on, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Goodbye, guys. Peace. And it's over.